What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. Today, we're going to be talking about Kyle Busch and how successful he will be at Rich Choice Racing in 2023. Now, it's no secret that a lot of people have had some very interesting expectations about Kyle Busch, how he will perform at Rich Choice Racing for 2023. And today, I'm going to tell you how I think he'll perform all together in his first year with Richard Childress Racing. Now, Kyle Busch has already had a lot of success so far with Richard Childress Racing for 2023, as he just picked up his first win of the 2023 season this past weekend at Auto Club Speedway. Now, this weekend at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Kyle Busch is going to be competing in the Triple. He'll be competing in the Truck Series race with his own organization. He'll be racing Xfinity with College Racing, which has lines from Richard Childress Racing. And, of course, he'll be competing in the Cup Series with Richard Childress Racing. Kyle Busch is right now very motivated for him and is very, very hungry. And when you get a motivated Kyle Busch and who wants to perform and is hungry to go out there and succeed and win a lot of races, he always performs at his best. When he isn't motivated and isn't as hungry as he is now to perform, he performs at his worst. When you get a fired up Kyle Busch who wants to perform, he always performs really, really great. You want perfect examples? There's two other perfect examples. In 2007, at the end of that year, Kyle Busch was let go for Hendrick Motorsports and Dale Jr. took over. In 2008, he went to Joe Gibbs Racing. And in that first year, a lot of people thought he was going to struggle because the three previous years before Kyle Busch got into that ride, that 18 car was struggling. Bobby Labonte's last year was really bad. Bobby finished, I think, 22nd or 23rd in points. In 2006, 2007 were very lackluster years for J.J. Yeley. The first year Kyle Busch goes over to Joe Gibbs Racing that year, he goes on to win 8 races. Granted, the playoffs did not go well, and he finished 11th in the standings. But Kyle Busch still won 8 races that year and basically doubled and basically got up from 4 wins with his time at Hendrick up to 12 wins altogether, with 8 wins coming from Joe Gibbs Racing. The other year is 2015. Kyle Busch got injured in the Xfinity Series race at Daytona and came back and won at Sonoma not too far after coming back. Ended up winning 5 races and winning the NASCAR Cup Series Championship. So when he's motivated and hungry, he always performs at his best, and those are proven examples. And I think Kyle Busch wants to prove Joe Gibbs Racing wrong on why they should not have gotten rid of him. And look, you look back the last 2 years for Kyle Busch at Joe Gibbs Racing. It's no secret that the last 2 years, really since 2020, since he won his championship in 2019, the last 3 years for Kyle Busch before coming this year, last few years, he had really, really struggled. In 2020, he only got 1 win, and that was in the playoffs and got eliminated in the round of 12. In 2021 was definitely a lot better for Kyle Busch. He got 2 wins that year and made it to the round of 8 and nearly made it to the championship 4, but it wasn't an elite level year. And then last year in 2022, he was elite in the beginning of the year and got a win at Bristol Dirt. But unfortunately, he just fell off during the contract negotiations. And by the time the negotiations kind of ended and he ended up going to Rich Choice Racing for this season, his performance completely dipped off a cliff. And he went from basically being an underdog for the championship to a driver who was basically going to get eliminated in the round of 12. Well, actually got eliminated in the round of 16 in the first round and began to focus on transitioning over to driving for Rich Childress Racing. And you look at how bad he performed near the end of the year. You go back to that Martinsville performance he had, and it was one of the worst performances I've seen a driver ever have. He was slower than Rick Ware racing cars on the racetrack. So I think going into this year, he's really motivated. And like I've mentioned and already said, he has already gone on to win 1 race this year already. And you look at the other races so far this year in 2023. He could have won every single race so far this year. He was really fast in the Busch Clash. He got turned by Joey Logano, but he bounced back and was one of the few cars that really could pass at the Busch Light Clash at LA Coliseum and was able to get up there and contend for the victory and finish a respectful 3rd place. Then you go to the dual races. Kyle Busch was leading with about 20 to 25 laps to go in that race and got turned by Daniel Suarez. He could have easily won his dual race. Then you go to the Daytona 500 in a backup car, and Kyle Busch is leading on the 200th lap of the race. But with 3 laps to go in regulation, Daniel Suarez ended up spinning out and bringing out the second to last caution of the race. And Kyle Busch, unfortunately, ended up finishing 20th and 19th or 20th after getting involved in the last big wreck. And then you go to this past week, where he won at Auto Club, where he's able to get by Ross Chastain on pit road. Actually had the lead, but basically was able to have the fastest car near the end and won. I truly believe that this is just the beginning for Kyle Busch. I think he is motivated. I think he's hungry. And I think Kyle Busch is going to win a lot of races this year. I initially predicted that Kyle Busch was only going to get 2 or 3 wins. I have completely changed that, especially with how fast he's been at the beginning of the year. I would not be surprised or shocked if Kyle Busch gets 6 or 7 wins by the end of this year. And I think he could be the winningest driver in Cup this year. I initially said Kyle Larson was going to be that guy. I think it's going to be Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch is in the same car that Tyler Reddick ran. Tyler Reddick, of course, joining 23XI this year and being a teammate with Bubba Wallace through this year. Kyle Busch is motivated, and he's going to win a lot of races. It would not surprise or shock me if he sweeps the whole weekend this weekend at Las Vegas. But I think he's going to win a lot of races in 2023. And I think right now, I know we're only 2 races in the regular season, and we still got a long way to go. But I think for a lot of people right now, he's a favorite to win the championship. Plus, you think about this as well, Kyle Busch actually has sponsorship and funding coming in. He's got companies like Lucas Oil, Netspend, Alsco Uniforms, which is going to sponsor him this weekend. Cheddar's is going to sponsor for quite a few races. BetMGM has already sponsored him this year, and they're probably going to sponsor for more. And 3Chai and other companies, maybe Rowdy Energy steps up to the plate and sponsors Kyle Busch. That could be a possibility. But like I mentioned and said, I think he's going to be very successful in this first year and get around 6 or 7 wins. And when you have Richard Childress praising you as much as he's already had, really since they got Kyle Busch, it shows that Richard is confident in you, and Kyle Busch is going to win a lot. And I think he is going to be extremely successful at this team and perform at his best. So I'm expecting an extremely successful first year for Kyle Busch at Rich Schultz Racing, and I think he's going to be successful and win a lot of races. I think by the time he gets done succeeding and driving for Rich Schultz Racing, which is probably not going to be for another 5 or 6 years, I think Kyle Busch is easily going to win at least 6 to at least another 15, 20 races. I would not be surprised if he's even close to maybe Jeff Gordon on the wins column. Granted, he's got to win 32 races to even tie up Jeff Gordon, but I think it's very possible that Kyle Busch can do that because this 8 car last year with Tyler Reddick, it won a lot of only 3 races and could have won more races with Reddick. It could have won at least 6 or 7 more races with how fast Reddick was. And I think that you're going to see Kyle Busch take that 8 car, perform at an extremely great level, and I think he could win the championship this year. He's right now the championship favorite for a lot of people, especially after his performance. Granted, it's only 2 races in a year, but I think that Kyle Busch right now is extremely motivated. I think he's really, really confident at this particular moment, and I think you're going to see Kyle Busch perform at a great level. And I'm going to say this right now. Watch my picks video coming up because you're going to know who I'm picking to win. But I think Kyle Busch is really motivated for him. He's hungry. He wants to do his best. And I think you're going to see Kyle Busch do some great things this year with Richard Schultz Racing. Don't be surprised if he wins a lot. I think he's going to be the winningest driver we had in a long time, probably since Kyle Larson's season a couple years ago. And I think Kyle Busch gets closer to Dale Earnhardt on the wins column. He's got a lot of different types of tracks where he's coming up to, where he's great at. I think even his super speedway prowess, he's not really great at those types of tracks, but he was fast at super speedway tracks at Daytona, which gives me a lot of confidence and a lot of hope going into this year. So I think he's going to have a really great year. I think he's going to make that 8 car really, really strong. And I think Kyle Busch will be 100% a contender throughout this year. So yes, I think Kyle Busch is going to have a fantastic year. I think he's going to perform very, very good. Get 6 or 7 wins by the end of the year, as my dad even predicted as well earlier. And I think you're going to see a strong 2023 year for Kyle Busch. And by the end of his tenure at Rich Schultz Racing, I think he's going to have won a ton of races in NASCAR's top level. And I think he'll win a couple Xfinity Series races this year as well, and some truck races. So he could win up to 15 to 20 races by the end of the year, for all we know, in all 3 respective series. So that is it for today's special NASCAR video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Notifications on to be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Links are below that, and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. How well do you think Kyle Busch will perform at Rich Schultz Racing in the 2023 season? Do you think Kyle Busch is going to win a ton of races this year, or do you think he's going to struggle and not get any more wins this year and fall off? I think he's going to perform great, but let me know how you think he will perform at RCR. Tomorrow on my channel, we're going to have multiple videos on the channel. We are going to have the paint scheme preview on the channel for this weekend at Las Vegas, and we are also going to have the race picks video for the Pennzoil 400 as well. Then on Friday, we're going to have multiple videos on the channel, most likely NASCAR news video, and we're also going to for sure have the truck race review. Then on Saturday, I'll have the Xfinity Series review and the starting lineup video for the Pennzoil 400. And then finally, you are going to have the Cup review from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for some more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.